In 1987, a disc jockey in Traverse City, Michigan released a song as an April Fool's joke. He called it, "The Legend of the Dogman." He made it up. But then something unexpected happened. Within 2 weeks, he had received over 100 letters from people across Michigan claiming they had seen exactly what the song described, a creature that stood upright, moved like a man, and had the head of a dog. He hadn't described Bigfoot. He hadn't described a werewolf. He had, apparently, described something that hundreds of people had already seen but never reported. Because no one would have believed them. The Dogman is the most underreported cryptid in North America. While Bigfoot gets documentaries and Mothman gets a festival, the Dogman sits in a strange middle ground, too well documented to dismiss, too bizarre to mainstream. The first recorded encounter dates to 1887, in Wexford County, Michigan. 2 lumberjacks reported a creature approximately 7 feet tall, walking upright, with canine features. They reported it to the county sheriff. The sheriff's report is still on file. Since then, there have been over 1,000 documented sightings across Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois. They follow a specific corridor, the Great Lakes region, with the highest concentration in the lower peninsula of Michigan. The pattern of sightings is what makes this case interesting. Not the volume, the consistency. Across more than a century of reports, the descriptions are remarkably uniform. Height, 6.5 to 8 feet when standing upright. Build, massive. Witnesses consistently describe shoulder width exceeding any known animal. Movement, bipedal when crossing open ground. Quadrupedal when running. Head, distinctly canine. Not a bear. Multiple witnesses who've encountered both describe them as completely different animals. Eyes, amber or yellow, reflecting light. Multiple witnesses report this detail without prompting. In 2007, a woman in Paulding, Michigan filmed what appeared to be a large bipedal canine from her vehicle. She sent the footage to a wildlife biologist at Michigan State University. His response, in writing, was, "This does not match the movement pattern of any animal in our database." That letter exists. In 2009, the Michigan DNR received 23 formal reports of an unidentified large animal, bipedal, from hunters in the Manistee National Forest. The DNR's internal response memo cited insufficient evidence to classify, and closed the file. That memo was obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request in 2019. Here's what makes the government angle interesting. In 2013, a FOIA request filed with the FBI asked specifically whether the Bureau maintained any files on the Dogman. The response acknowledged the existence of files but cited an exemption under 5 U.S.C. Section 552(b)(7)(a), which covers law enforcement investigative files. They didn't say there were no files. They said they couldn't release them because of an active investigative exemption. Active. As in ongoing. The biological question is this: what could the Dogman actually be? There are 3 serious hypotheses. The first, an unknown species. The Great Lakes Basin is one of the few regions in North America with sufficient forest density and food supply to sustain a large apex predator that has never been catalogued. The area receives less scientific field survey than virtually any comparably sized region in the developed world. The second, a known species behaving abnormally. Some researchers have proposed that the Dogman is a severely dysplastic or abnormal gray wolf or coyote exhibiting atypical bipedal movement. This doesn't explain the height reports, but it explains the canine identification. The third, a surviving prehistoric species. The Epicyon haydeni, a giant canid that went extinct approximately 5 million years ago, stood nearly 4 feet at the shoulder and weighed up to 350 pounds. Some paleontologists have noted that if a remnant population existed in a low human contact environment, the Great Lakes Basin would be among the most viable locations. None of these hypotheses has been disproven. Because the subject has never been formally studied. And that, in itself, is unusual. Every other apex predator in North America has been formally studied. The Dogman has not. Over 1,000 witnesses across 130 years. Consistent descriptions across cultures, backgrounds, and geography. An FBI file that exists but cannot be released. A Michigan DNR that closed a report without classification. The official position is that the Dogman doesn't exist. But the official position also involves a bureau file on something that doesn't exist. You can decide what that means. What we can say is this: the Great Lakes Basin is enormous. It is old. It has sustained ecosystems that predate human settlement by millions of years. And it has a documented history of producing things that don't fit the existing map. The Dogman may be a misidentification. It may be a hoax. It may be something that has never been formally classified. But it is not, at this point, something that can be dismissed. If you've had an encounter in the Great Lakes region, or know someone who has, the comments are open. We read everything. Next week, we go deeper on the 2007 Paulding footage and the researcher who spent 3 years in Manistee National Forest trying to find an answer. Subscribe. The story isn't over.